Eloquent testimony of the patron found time to attend this inauguration despite the short notice.
Although the committee was not given a specific deadline within which to submit its report, a member of the committee told CoreTV News that his first meeting holds immediately after the inauguration, while a second one holds on 9th of May. Chuka Odita, CoreTV News, Abuja.
This is CoreTV News, and I will take a quick break. I'll be back with more stories. Please join us again.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home.
Leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. From the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration,
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping. And the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats.
Look at facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. For more pictures and videos on Instagram, it's CoreTV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV News NG. The Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, Kolapo Olushola, has emerged the candidate of the People's Democratic Party ahead of July 14th governorship election. Olushola emerged as the party's flag bearer after polling the highest number of delegates' votes at the party's primaries conducted in Ado-Ekiti, with Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as the chairman of the primaries committee.
As the returning officer, by virtue of the fact that I'm chairman of the State's Congress Committee for Ekiti State PDP gubernatorial Congress, that I hereby return Professor Kolapo Olushola as the duly nominated gubernatorial aspirant candidate of the PDP for Ekiti State gubernatorial elections.
Indeed, the victory of today is unique, given that it has not only validated our loyalty, commitment, and dedication to our great party, People's Democratic Party, but it has to a great extent rekindled our trust and belief in democratic norms. I bless the name of God Almighty for the huge success and victory recorded today after the gubernatorial primary election, being an aspirant with the highest number of votes cast, and salute the doggedness of my brother, my co-contestants.
The ruling All Progressives Congress APC has rescheduled for May 11th its governorship primary election in Ekiti State, which was allegedly disrupted by thugs. APC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi discussed this in Abuja while briefing journalists on the resolution of the party's National Executive Committee on the disrupted primary election. Basude Kafo has a report.
The All Progressive Congress had earlier threatened to disqualify its governorship aspirants whose agents allegedly disrupted the party's governorship primary election in Ekiti State. But this time, the party has resolved to disqualify the agents allegedly masterminded the fracas and has also released new guidelines for all the aspirant agents in the rescheduled governorship primary election.
The exercise of 5th of May is cancelled, and a new primary, a fresh primary, will be conducted this Friday, 11th of May, in the same venue.
APC National Public Secretary also disclosed while briefing journalists that the party has concluded with the police authorities to deploy more of their personnel as part of measures to forestall any other breakdown of law and order during the election.
We have decided to mobilize policemen from other states, to be part of the rescheduled primaries. In the previous one on the 5th of May, we relied solely on the police authorities within Ekiti State.
For now, the APC governorship aspirants that participated in the disrupted exercise have been engaged in accusations and counter-accusations over who sponsored the talks that allegedly disrupted the party's primary election in Ekiti State. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The people of Oreade-Obokuru Federal Constituency have joined other federal constituencies in Osun State to support whoever emerges the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the September 22nd governorship election. They stated this during Governor Regbeshala's goodwill visit to their constituency in Ijebu-Ijesha. According to them, the decision of the party is binding on every member of the APC, with a call on the leadership of the party to ensure a free and fair primary election, to express their readiness to support the party to win the governorship race. Read details of that report in a subsequent bulletin. Elsewhere, the Nigeria Customs Service has reiterated its commitment to rid the country of counterfeit, fake and illicit imported items. The service disclosed this while briefing journalists at the Apapa Tinkan Island on its successes over the last few weeks. Ibro Kara Lovigwe has more.
With the recent documentary by the British Broadcast Commission on codeine addiction by young Nigerians and the action taken by the Federal Ministry of Health to ban codeine and its importation into the country, the Customs Service has impounded a container loaded with tramadol which was imported into the country. The comptroller of the Customs Service decried the activities of some Nigerians while also confirming the arrest of a person over the seizure.
A seizure, somebody asked whether we have suspects in our detention. Well, the process usually is except for straight prohibited items. Normally, the process is you detain before seizures.
The Customs boss added that the service is working to improve on its service at the ports.
For the period under review, for 45,462 metric tons of goods were exported from Tinkan Island port with the FOB value of about 29.146 billion.
The service disclosed that effort has been intensified under the federal government on ease of doing business to improve its performance rating. Ibironke Ira Lovigbe, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Bad governance and corrupt practices have been identified as major stumbling blocks to the advancement and development of universities in Nigeria. This assertion was made in Abuja by the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Universities Commission, Abubakar Rashid, during a two-day retreat for governing councils of Nigerian universities. He also observed that most crisis within the system stems from those challenges that have undermined their core mandate of researching, teaching and community development. Arete Farha tells us more.
Abubakar Rashid says the retreat, which is long overdue, is organized to equip participants with all available and necessary knowledge to make a visible difference within the system. The retreat, which is mainly for the 42 Nigerian universities owned by the federal government, is coming at a time that the NUC is embarking on a mission of reforming the structures of universities.
Governance structures and processes in the Nigerian university system today reveal a disturbing situation characterized by poor leadership, corrupt practices, avoidable conflicts, general underperformance, profound parochialism, and inadequate teaching and learning environments.
Speaking on the state of Nigerian universities, Former Pro-Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University noted that lecturer-to-student ratio within Nigerian universities, government subventions, rates of internally generated revenue, and observance of global best practices in financial management all fall below global standards in Nigerian universities.
In order for the Nigerian university system to deliver fully on its mandate, it is important to keep it under constant review.
The retreat will feature a presentation of important documents published by the NUC, State of Education in Nigeria, among others, to better equip participants to move the universities and indeed Nigeria forward. Arit Efara, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And outside Nigeria now, at least 17 people have died in an area of northwestern Democratic Republic of Congo, where health officials confirmed an outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus. Congo's Ministry of Health says in a statement on Tuesday that 2 cases of the virus have been confirmed by laboratory test following 21 patients displaying signs of fever in Kokopimpeng near the town of Bikoro in the Central African nation. At least 17 deaths in the region over the last 5 weeks are suspected to be linked to the outbreak, but have not been confirmed as Ebola cases. According to Congo's health ministry, who says the country is facing another epidemic of the Ebola virus, which constitutes an international public health emergency. They further said the deployment of well-trained human resources were made to rapidly control the outbreak. Polls have closed to Malaysia in what is being billed as the country's tightest ever election, clouded by a corruption scandal linked to one of its leading candidates. The people have come out to decide on the destiny of the nation with nearly 15 million registered voters. Malaysia's 14th general election pits incumbent Prime Minister Najib Razak, who is seeking a 3rd term against his one-time mentor and former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad. Gunmen set off at least 3 explosions in the Afghan capital of Kabul and then battered security forces from buildings they occupied in the latest in a spate of violence to rock the city. Health officials Vahidumin Madra says at least 6 people were wounded, adding that the casualty toll was likely to rise. Afghanistan's Western-backed government is fighting an intensifying war with both the Taliban and the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant that has turned much of Kabul into a high-security zone of concrete blast walls and razor wire. The first blast was near a police station in western Kabul's Dasht el-Bashi at around midday. Minutes later, 2 back-to-back explosions went off at the central Sharinor commercial district. And in sport now, former world number 1 Serena Williams has pulled out of next week's Italian Open in Rome. Last week, the 23-time Grand Slam winner pulled out of the Madrid WTA event due to a fever. The American tennis star made a comeback in February, 6 months after giving birth to baby Olympia, which competed at India Wells in Miami, has admitted she's struggling to get fully fit. And finally now, former FIFA president Sepp Blatter has reiterated his view the World Cup should be staged in one country rather than co-hosted by multiple nations. 82-year-old Blatter says football's world governing body is now interested in co-hosted World Cups because it wants to increase the tournament to 48 teams. United States, Canada and Mexico have made a joint bid, while Morocco has also bid to host the 2026 World Cup. A decision will be made on June 13th. The World Cup has only been staged in more than one country once, when it was co-hosted by South Korea and Japan in 2002. A tournament Blatter describes as a nightmare in organization. He noted that joint bids were denied from Libya and Tunisia for the 2010 tournament, and both Spain and Portugal and Belgium and the Netherlands for 2018, due to a decision from FIFA not to consider a combined organization. That's it on CoreTV News on the hour. CoreTV News at 4 comes up shortly. Please join us again.
Yes, not ayes have it.
Hello and thanks for joining us again on your program Gavel to Gavel. This week we'll bring you a report of the second-time refusal of Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris to appear before the Senate to brief the lawmakers on Dino Melai's plight as well as the general situation of security in the country. We'll bring you these and many more from the National Assembly after the break. I am Chuka Odita, your host.
The ayes have it.
Welcome back. In a brazen fashion, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has again flouted a second invitation by the Senate asking him to appear before them to brief on Senator Dino Melai's arrest and handcuff saga, as well as the general situation of security in the country. But the busy IGP chooses to delegate a Deputy Inspector General of Police to represent him without an official communication to the lawmakers. This development angers the Senate. When it was time for the Senate to visit the next order of the day, which is to usher in the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris as scheduled, the Senate received a chilling news. Senate Committee Chairman on Police Affairs informs the lawmakers that all efforts to get the IGP via telephone the previous day were abortive. He informs the surprised senators that Inspector General of Police has again failed to honor their invitation despite being served.
As I've said personally too, yesterday I tried my very best to locate him. I couldn't up to late in the night. Later I found out IGP is in Kaduna. He's going to Birnungwari, where there were incessant killings. About 20,000 people were killed in Birnungwari. So Mr. Farado, that's the only report I can give.
Bala Ibn Na'ala, Deputy Senate Leader, describes the development as dent on the nation's democratic institution and gave a rundown of how the IGP had many occasions before refused to heed Senate summons. But he said he turned to the court to compel the Senate to vacate the summons. He reminded the Senate how the court informed him to appear before the Senate as against his will.
I am very, very sad about this development. I apologize to my colleagues for this absence, but I think that in the wisdom of the Senate, we are not lacking in wisdom and authority to do what is reasonably necessary for the purpose of assisting Mr. President. It is equally more so, sir, that as a deliberate policy of this Senate from today, we must equally do whatever is humanly possible in pursuance of our avowed and committed resolve to help Mr. President to ensure that we harvest away from the corridors of power sycophants and those people who are lacking in efficiency and respect for democratic tenets.
There are issues of where in this year alone over 500 or 600 people have been killed. And if we believe that such issues, the man who is in charge of enforcing law and order should not sit down and engage with we that will have the powers of representing the people, then there's something wrong somewhere. So let us hold and give time for reflection on that mandate within a week to look into that.
President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, who calmed the lawmakers, reminded them of the need to show restraint on the matter. He calls on the Police Affairs Committee to continue to interface with the Inspector General of Police office, adding that the committee has up to 1 week to get the IGP to appear before it, or the Senate will be forced to invoke its powers. Rather than appear before the Senate Wednesday, the IGP had directed the Deputy Inspector General of Police to appear before it in his place.
The ayes have it.
The Nigerian Senate has applauded the decision of the Federal Ministry of Health to prohibit further production of codeine-based pharmaceutical products in the country. The move, they say, will help in curbing rampant abuse of codeine, especially in the northern parts of the country, where criminals and other users are known to depend on the substance to carry out criminal activities. Senator Ahmed Lawal, who raised the issue on the ban of codeine at Wednesday plenary, says the move deserves commendation, especially coming at a time when violent crime and insurgency has been in increase in the northeast and elsewhere. According to him, statistics show that about 70% of codeine produced or supplied in the country find their way to Zambesa Forest, where they are abused by the members of Boko Haram sect. He further says about 3 million bottles of codeine-based syrup are consumed daily in Jigawa and Kano State alone, and calls for measures to ensure that addiction of the substance is curtailed or eliminated completely.
Today in Nigeria, there is hardly any one single family that does not have an addict, drug addict of some sort. This is the most destructive phenomenon today in Nigeria. After the killings by Boko Haram and the bandits. Mr. President, Nigeria is supposed to be much more worried on drug addiction today than any other situation.
President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, pointed out that the ban on the substance had been on the table for too long, but commends the federal government's resolve through the Ministry of Health to put a ban on the substance.
I commend the Minister of Health and NAFDAC who have responded quickly to this, and let me committees to please ensure proper oversight to see that this ban is strictly adhered to. And I think it's a great day, and for those of us who have been advocating for this for a long time, that we must tackle this issue of drug abuse, which is particularly affecting more of our girls and women, and it was a dangerous trend. Let's see that this ban is restricted and ensure that it works very well for us.
As part of efforts to tackle abuse of codeine in the country, Federal Ministry of Health Tuesday banned the production of codeine-based syrups in the country. The federal government also placed a ban on codeine-containing syrup without prescription across the country. In its place, government recommended dextromethorphan, which is less addictive.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring you more.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
As you can see, the eyes have it.
Welcome back. Disturbed by the rising cases of communal clashes between Abia and Cross River State, the House of Representatives on Tuesday called on President Muhammadu Buhari to deploy soldiers to the troubled spot to restore peace. Several lives and property worth millions have been destroyed since the clashes began.
The resolution was part sequel to the motion of urgent national importance raised by Nkole Ndukwe, a lawmaker representing Arochukwu Ohafia Federal Constituency of Abia State, who expresses displeasure over the death of several innocent citizens, while stressing on the need to salvage the lives and property within the troubled area that led to the razing down of 3 villages. The House admonished President Buhari, in accordance with Section 217, subsection 2C of the 1999 Constitution as amended, to use his good office to immediately and without further delay deploy the armed forces to the affected areas with a view to restore lasting peace and order.
The garrison commander and the brigade commander, 14th Brigade, they have been very wonderful right from the day the crisis started. I've been in touch with them. They've made several efforts to restore, normalcy. But ordinarily, it's primarily the responsibility of the police. As I speak to you, police has not been there. I've made several calls to the Commissioner of Police. He has neither returned my calls or responded to the text message.
Lawmakers are worried that apart from the wanton loss of lives and property and massive displacement of persons, there is the resultant distrust among communities that is a grave threat to national unity and loss of confidence in social institutions. The House is also saddened that between Thursday, April 19, 2018 and Saturday, April 21, communal clashes erupted in Isu beachline boundary communities in Arochukwu, local government areas of Abia State, which shares its boundary with Utuma in Cross River State, in which the Utuma attacked the Isu beachline communities of Ihosu, Aba, Amachi, leaving many dead within the 3 villages and completely razed down, resulting in the displacement of members of the community.
As I speak to you, we have internally displaced persons, women, children that have abandoned their homes for the fear of their lives. And The distance is something that is a distance leaving the beachfront into the hinterland. So as we speak now, we have an IDP camp now in Ututu and at Obieze Isu.
The House further mandates the National Emergency Management Agency to immediately and without further delay deploy relief materials, including medical supplies, to the communities in addition to medical and health personnel to treat those who sustain various degrees of injuries during the fracas. Similarly, the House also mandated the National Boundary Commission to immediately and define the boundaries of both communities to avoid further clashes. And to ensure compliance, the House further mandates its joint committees on defense and public safety and intelligence to coordinate the implementation and attainment of the resolutions with the Presidency, NEMA, NBC, and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative actions.
The ayes have it.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the Special Presidential Panel for Recovery of Public Property says the National Assembly does not recognize the panel even though it was constituted by President Muhammadu Buhari. The committee also questioned the funding of the panel.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the legality and modus operandi of the Special Presidential Investigation Panel continued its public hearing, and still with the absence of the chairman of the SPIP, who sent a letter that he is not in town, the head of Service National Human Rights Commission and the Minister of Finance made submissions to the committee but were unavoidably absent, where the Auditor General of the Federation, Code of Conduct Bureau, ICPC, and the Office of the Secretary to the Federation. The Code of Conduct Bureau notes that the establishment of the panel is not necessary as it performs the role of already existing anti-corruption agencies in the country and a duplication of processes.
Not carry out any audit examination of the activities of this panel, so we have no audit report to present. However, on the 14th February 2018, my office received a letter from this panel requesting that we fill asset declaration forms.
You know, it's at variance with the mandate of the Code of Conduct Bureau. And as far as we are concerned, we are not going to be party to that, because the mandate, the Constitution has specified this clearly.
As I alluded earlier, it was a decree, and it just transmuted from being a decree when the civilian government came on board. But needless to say that our officers have been on the panel, and whatever they are doing, we may not have full information.
Representative of the SGF says the panel was set up to cure some existing defects, which includes where a public officer is engaged in corrupt practices or unjust enrich himself, among others.
Since it came in the month of July 2017, as at July 2017, the budget of 2017 has already been passed. So it wasn't possible that the panel's budget would have been captured. If for anything, we shall only be looking at 2018.
Chairman of the committee says the submission from the Solicitor General of the Federation explains why the panel was set up.
Oversight, writing to people at will, telling them to declare their assets, which they've already done at the beginning of their tenure. And this is where the committee was set up, to actually find out how they operate and find out and bring them under so that the parliament can be informed.
The committee adjourned to convene on April 26, 2018.
The ayes have it.
Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring you more.
can see me. The eyes have it.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belongs to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
As you can see me, the eyes have it.
The House of Representatives is urging the federal government to improve the conditions of National Youth Service Corps orientation camps across the country. This comes in the wake of the death of a female corps member who died due to poor medical attention following a rigorous training at the camp.
The House is aware that the NYC scheme was established, among others, to foster oneness and cater for unity in diversity amongst the distinct ethnic groups and nationalities in the country. The House is further aware that there has been cases of deaths of corps members at orientation camps. Ukeme Monday is said to have died at an orientation camp in Zamfara State in February 2017, and about 2 weeks ago, one Miss Amadi Eva Ichechukwu died at the Ikpata orientation camp in Edu local government area of Kwara State.
Disease, a graduate of oil and gas engineering from the University of Port Harcourt, is said to have died as a result of injuries sustained during a man-o-war drilling after falling off the string in course of the drilling exercise at the camp, and those said to have been rushed to the NYSC clinic. The clinic only had youth corps doctors who could do very little to save her life.
Lawmakers also lament the poor serving scheme of the National Youth Service Corps, which the House describes as detrimental to the growth of the nation.
What type of training do they get? And number 3, what type of insurance cover our corpers? What type, assuming there's any?
Where simple medical facilities, just to check to see, like a normal paramilitary training, to find out the health status of our kids before they engage in a lot of these running, mountain climbing, and very rigorous exercises are lacking. It's like condemning our children to death.
If those that are in charge of the training of our youths in camp will insist that before you get enlisted in their service, you must be medically fit, do they do the same thing before subjecting these children to the kind of training that they give to them? The answer is no.
Is that beyond even what has happened, which came about by some rigorous training. It was okay when we did youth service several years ago. Now there are so many children, there are so many issues. The kind of training the army give to these children should be reviewed.
The House pays her respect to those who died while on service to the fatherland. The House, in a unanimous voice vote, directs that the federal government, through the NYSC and other appropriate agencies, take urgent steps to improve the condition of orientation camps across the country, including medical facilities and personnel. The House further mandates the Committee on Youth Development to investigate the conditions of orientation camps across the country and circumstances surrounding the death of the deceased corps member and report back to the House within 1 month for further legislative action.
As you can see me, the eyes have it.
Expressing dissatisfaction on the recent maltreatment of Senator Dino Melaye by security operatives, Speaker Yakubu Dogara has called on security agencies to be guided by the rule of law in handling Senator Dino Melaye, especially in view of his health.
Earlier, while raising the issue, Sunday Karimi alleged that Senator Melaye is facing persecution because of his belief and says the House must not continue to sit down and keep quiet but ensure that the rule of law prevails in this case. Karimi decries the large number of policemen deployed to guard Senator Melaye when he visited the senator in the hospital.
Yesterday, Senator Dino Melaye was arraigned in a court in Abuja for issue that has gotten to do with how they were unable to take him to Lokoja. Today, as I'm talking to you, Senator Dino Melaye was carried in an ambulance to Lokoja, and he was carried with a stretcher to the court.
Expressing dissatisfaction on the recent maltreatment being suffered by Senator Dino Melaye, Speaker Yakubu Dogara admonishes security agencies to be guided by the rule of law, adding that Dino Melaye's health condition will be blamed on the security agents.
Nothing must happen to the senator. If anyone in this country has committed an offense, the law is there for the person to be prosecuted or arraigned before the court within the ambit of the law. But I don't think the law will support a situation where someone is in a dire health situation and he's been arraigned more so that the person is a senator. I don't think a distinguished senator of this country or a member will run away from trial. So my admonition to the security agencies is to do everything possible to ensure that his life is secured first before prosecution.
Attempts by other members to comment on the matter was rebuffed by the Speaker, who ruled that since it is a matter of personal explanation and as the Senate is already looking into the issue, it can only be referred to a committee of the House for further legislative action. Senator Melaye has been arraigned in 2 courts on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. The embattled senator, who got bail from the FCT Magistrate Court, was re-arrested by the security agency and ferried to Lokoja to face alleged criminal trial alongside other conspirators.
What happens here?
Justice is
updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
That's the side of the package for this week, viewers. Join us again next week for a fresh edition. I am Chuka Odita. Bye for now.
The unfolding drama in the case between the senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Dino Melaye, and Nigerian police dominated headlines in the week. We were then in court for the arraignment and granting of bail to the senator. Also on this program, we'll bring you the court verdict on the legal battle between the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the former First Lady, Patient Jonathan. Welcome. I am Basil Okafor. Stay tuned for details. The magistrate court sitting in Abuja has granted bail to the senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Dino Melaye, in the sum of 90 million naira with 2 sureties. The senator was arraigned by the police on allegation that he made attempts to commit suicide while he was being ferried to Kogi State to answer charges bordering on unlawful armed possession. The lawmaker representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Dino Melaye, has been arraigned and granted bail before a magistrate court in Abuja. Nigerian police brought Senator Melaye in court on a stretcher, and journalists were prevented from going into the court premises to cover the proceedings. The police arraigned the senator on alleged breaking of the windscreen of the police vehicle, conveying him to Lokoja, and also threatening to kill himself and intentionally implicating the police officer over alleged attempt to kill him. After the arraignment, Magistrate Mabel Bello, in a ruling, granted Melaye bail in the sum of 90 million naira and 2 sureties. She ordered that one of the sureties must be a civil servant or not less than grade level 14 and must show evidence of his residence in Federal Capital Territory.
Dino was arraigned before the magistrate court with a 1-count charge of escape from lawful custody. We made application for his bail, and the magistrate, after duly considering all the applications and submissions of counsel, granted Dino bail. Dino fulfilled the conditions of bail granted to him today by the magistrate. But right there in the court, while we were yet even to fulfill completely the entire conditions of bail, the entire courtroom was filled up with heavily armed police personnel who told us in without mincing words, that they intend to rearrest Dino. They want to charge Dino Melaye at a magistrate court in Lokoja tomorrow morning. This clearly shows that we are not operating the rule of law anymore. It does look like we are in a military era. You can see the volume of police people. You can see the number of armed personnel. The armed persons, the armed police people who came here today, I'm not sure I've seen any governor. I'm not sure I've seen, even the president himself hasn't come with this retinue of armed police personnel, just for one person. What is his offense? That he speaks the truth. It is very regrettable. It is very, very regrettable.
The senator was brought to this place. Being a citizen of this country and being a service senator, he shouldn't be molested as a common criminal, because I've never seen the troop of police I have seen today like this in Nigeria. How can somebody speak the truth to the whole Nigerian, and then after the truth they are trying to take his life, molesting him? Why the policemen should not be deployed to Benue where they have crisis? Or they should be deployed to each particular street where armed robbers are invading, killing people. I am very, very sorry to say this. The IG, Inspector General of Police, I don't think he knows what he's doing, because this is democracy.
The court ordered the senator to deposit his international passport with the FCT Commissioner of Police and shall also report himself at Wuse Zone 2 Police Station every first working day of the week. The court has adjourned till June 6 for trial. There was a mild drama at the magistrate court, Pape, as lawyers and policemen engaged in arguments over the hearing involving 2 detained lawyers and 2 other detainees. Trouble started after the policemen attempted to seize placards from protesting lawyers who stormed the court in solidarity with 2 of their colleagues arraigned with Melaye's brother in connection with Dino Melaye's arrest. Magistrate Mohammed Zubairu has granted the defendants bail in the sum of 200,000 naira and 1 surety each in like sum, adding that the sureties must be resident in the Federal Capital Territory. Police slammed the 4 defendants with criminal conspiracy, obstruction, and assault on police officers.
Why this heavy presence of police, helmeted and all that? The gentleman only said that they were on special assignment. We inquire as to what's special about people being brought to court for ruling, not on treason, not on armed robbery or terrorist, just obstruction of justice of a police officer in the course of his duty. He said that's the only thing you could say. And while we are in court, you could see them having the madness, I won't call it the temerity, the lunacy, to be asking lawyers to leave the court premises for them That's really unfortunate.
The powers that be, that are interested in silencing Nigerians. People are not free to express themselves again. If you say your mind, you are harassed and treated like a common criminal in your own country. I think all people of goodwill should rise up and speak against such conduct by the police, Nigerian police. People should be free to express themselves within the ambit of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Mike Ozekome, who was in court to represent the defendants, condemned what he described as unconstitutional conduct of the security agents.
But more importantly, is the magistrate's ability, or was his ability, to navigate the legal regime of issues concerning bail, and came to the conclusion irresistibly that this is a case in which bail should be granted. The bar, we made the point that we felt, and we were disturbed, that the magistrate did not deliver a bench ruling last week when the defendants were arraigned in court, knowing especially that two of the defendants are lawyers who were merely doing their job on behalf of their clients in accordance with Section 36 of the Constitution, in accordance with the cab rank rule, to defend all manners of people, and that you could just arrest and take away lawyers was uncalled for.
The charge against the defendants followed the incident at Area 1 roundabout in Abuja, which budged alleged moves to forcibly relocate Senator Melaye to Lokoja in Kogi State to answer to pending criminal allegations against him. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, will on May 16 rearraign the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, and others before an FCT High Court sitting at Maitama on amended 32-count charge bordering on fraud. Dasuki and others were first arraigned in 2015, but the case has suffered several adjournments, even Dasuki challenging his detention. The former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, alongside his co-defendants, were arraigned by the EFCC on a 19-count bordering on alleged breach of trust and money laundering to the tune of 13.5 billion naira. At the resumed hearing of the case, the prosecution counsel, Rotimi Jacobs, informed the court that the charges against the defendants have been amended from 19 to 32.
Well, it's the court granted now, we have 32 counts. So there are 32 counts.
Jacobs noted that the amendment excluded the second defendant, Shuaibu Salisu, and he urged the court to accept the amendment and also ask for a date for rearrangement. But Dasuki's counsel, Ahmed Raji, objected on the grounds that he